the gentleman in line with us is Mark Stross. He's the author of an upcoming book, Killer Tech and the Drive to Save Humanity. All right, Mark, I hope I don't scare you too much with this, because this is going to hit home. And I thought you made an excellent point about what happens to people when they're victims of propaganda, and no one is immune to propaganda. I got to tell you, I had I think an unfair advantage because I never followed politics, sports announcing, hosting sports talk shows. When I had the opportunity to go from a sports talk show to a general talk show, and about 29 years old, and at that age, you really don't start following politics. It's boring. You know, it's show business for ugly people, as they say. And so I had no allegiance to either political party. And I would research out every single topic that I talked about. And what I realized quickly was the one thing I can guarantee you that will piss people off is the truth. They have no interest in it. I couldn't figure that out. It took me a little bit. And then when the 9/11 happened, and then the build-up as the war drums were beating to invade Iraq, I said on the air that because you remember how patriotic so many people felt and how that was used against them when they became over-emotional. Let's go kick somebody's ass is how we all felt. And I could not find any reason to go to Iraq. There was no evidence that Iraq was, 16 of the 17 hijackers were Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, I guess still, Philip, you know this, still leads the world in the funding of terrorist activity.
Yeah.
And then there's yep.
We do, actually, and then them. It's actually us. We lead that.
Yep. And
we lead terrorism, pedophilia, child sex trafficking,
obesity. Yeah. The number of our per capita of our citizens locked up in a cage. We're not in the top 20.
We are the melting pot, and everything that you can find wrong in the world, you can find here.
And we're not even in the top 20 any longer when it comes to the American dream, social mobility. We're outside of the top 20, folks. And Mark brought up a good point that it's embarrassing to see our president on the world stage who can't walk up steps. And that's not attacking the man personally or politically. I feel terrible for the guy.
Yeah, and if you look at media, what really sucks for us, the American people, is you've got a choice between the old decrepit man that can't climb stairs, or you believe that you've got a choice about the fat man that lies, cheats, steals, and is a con man. And it almost makes it look like the con man is the better option of the two, and that is horrible that we're here.
Yeah. Did you guys see the video that Trump put out the other day? He was not in makeup. And I mean, it was scary. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But
your orange Jesus is actually white.
Yeah. But Mark, the question. Let me try to get to it here. And now this is very scary. And if George Orwell was here, I wonder what he would think. This quote from 1984, the book, the movie, quote, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command," close quote. Now, Mark, if that doesn't rattle your cage, then you're not paying attention, because that's what we're being told. You agree?
I totally agree, and I'm going to counter that with a quote from my book that's specifically about this. "We can't deny that technology impacts us both individually and collectively. It has changed how we interact, how our societies are organized, and how they are managed and governed." So the point is, what no one understands, and including myself, so I'm going to be clear, I don't get it, is that we, with all these computers and all of this artificial intelligence that's only getting wiser every second, and all of the social media, the town square, the media conglomerates, all of it. When you take all of it and you realize that it's all saying the same stuff, including Fox, including any of the left or right, when you look at all the outlets, ultimately you realize there's very little information that's new. What you realize is that most of the information, it comes from one or two sources. And what you realize is ultimately is those sources are not necessarily facts. Those sources are cited from institutions that are cited for their facts, but you never really get the facts. Where did it originate from? Who made that rumor? A source, a person, a leak or something. But have you noticed we never get to the bottom of anything any longer because everything is veiled. It is one step removed from us. I consider this truth decay at its best. Because ultimately, we can't ascertain what our sources are because we don't really have sources. We are actually victims of our news becoming ultimate propaganda as soon as it's uploaded. Because instead of reporting on news, we report on the outcome we want the news report to give us. Because that is how we stay in our funnel. That's how we stay popular. And it's how we don't become alienated. So let me explain that again. People today report the news in their social bubble because they also want to be included with the other people that are like-minded. So they say the same stuff. And they don't have the courage to talk about the news, because if they would talk about narratives of how many black and white and Hispanics are killing each other, it wouldn't line up with the narrative. And so if it doesn't line up with the narrative, then they have to create a narrative and then report the news. That's unfortunate.
We are victims of self-infliction.
Yeah, well, you get what you put up with. And, to your point here, Mark, with Tucker Carlson and Fox News, before the Dominion lawsuit, they were sued 2 previous times, and the attorney representing Carlson and Fox News said in court now that, Your Honor, no reasonable person would believe what my client is saying. And my parents love Tucker Carlson, and I was telling them about this, and I said, that's another way of saying to you, I'm lying to you. Yes. And they were like, you have really, really got to get yourself together, son. And I said, well, you've known me all my life, right? You were there when I was born. At least I think Mom was. And you trust me, right? Oh, yeah, we trust you. I said, well, you don't know this man, and you trust him over me when it comes to the things that are most important in this country. She said, yeah, he's in New York, and he's on TV. That's why.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and and then I got, what we do here is, Mark, is offer people the opportunity to live without illusion. Now, we don't mind if you have illusions, but we'd rather you keep them private. But there is it can actually cheer you up to let that false hope go, can it, Mark?
Yeah, well, I think if anyone thinks they're living in a democracy, and I know that we've heard this term used and unfortunately irresponsibly used, and people don't understand that they live in a republic, and unfortunately a republic bound by only 2 parties.
Hey, we don't live in a republic either, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, and you're right, a representative republic is what we are, what we're supposed to be, right. Meaning that we the people choose someone to go to local politics, mayor's office, to state politics, the governor's mansion, or when it comes to federal elections, to the White House, and represent our interests. Well, when the Supreme Court said that the corporations are people too, which allowed corporations to back up a Brinks truck to the front door of whoever they choose. It's called Citizens United, and they should be sued for false advertisement. It doesn't have to do with the citizens or uniting us. And Obama did say this, it's the death knell for democracy, in which it really was. And the Supreme Court now, they're so arrogant, they do it right out in front of everyone. They've taken political corruption literally out of the dictionary. it's amazing what they've been able to get away with. And it's gone so far, Mark, that in Tennessee, we are a solid red state. I mean, we're so red, I can smell the color red in the state. And that horrible school shooting in Nashville back in the spring at Covenant School, the governor of Tennessee, who's in his second term, Republican Governor Bill Lee, knew someone, or his wife had a friend that was killed in that shooting. And the legislator here in Tennessee was in session, and he said to them, before you go, I want you to consider sensible gun legislation here in Tennessee. Well, his own party said to him, that's a non-starter, and left. Okay, so he called for a special session. Now, you're not going to believe this, Mark, but it's true. In August, just this past August, to consider that legislation to stop allowing lunatics, I mean, people that are mentally ill, to legally buy handguns or guns in Tennessee. And here's what they come up with, and I promise you I'm not making this up. It's law now in Tennessee. This is their grand plan to stop the senseless killings with guns in Tennessee. Now gun safes are tax-free. That should do it. We're safer now. I feel safer already. Mark, I'm not making that up. And Brad just had a ribbon cutting a couple of months ago. I think there's 4 or 5 gun manufacturers down in the state of Tennessee. So, in other words, watch the movie Bulworth. You guys ever watch that?
Yeah.
Mark,
Yeah, I have.
Have you watched that, Mark?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And I understand exactly what you're saying. So,
Well, before you guys get
unfortunately-
started, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you again, Mark. I'm sorry. Before you guys get started,
Okay.
I want to make this statement. We are neither a republic nor are we a democracy, because a republic and a democracy are exactly the same thing. We are a constitutional federal republic, which is a form of representative democracy. We have
Supposedly the most modern
it's
democracy, right?
supposedly the most modern.
Yeah.
But now, whenever you hear the two sides, one talks about democracy, the other side talks about republic, that's divisive. Those two things are the same,
yes.
and it's neither what we are. We are a constitutional federal republic, which is something completely different than a democracy or a republic. But we have been taught that. We are a representative democracy. That's what we're supposed to be. Right now, we're a dictatorship, and we have been for a long time.
I think it's fascism. And the corporations own the governments, and that is the true definition of fascism. We're in denial, though. It's, I can't believe that we're having this conversation in our lifetime in America, but it's real. It's here.
Yeah, it is.
And it's easier just to ignore it. Ignorance is bliss. And I'm not criticized. I have family and friends that are victims of this. And they're great Americans. They love the country. But they're victims here. And, again, I've had the benefit of being on the inside now for 23 some odd years and going into it with no allegiance to a political party. And, Mark, I want to put this in the form of a question to you. The definition of a political party, as far as I'm concerned, is a group of people seeking power. And that power is money. And that's it. Now, I did sports talk radio for a number of years. And here's the difference when you do sports talk radio and you do general or political talk is if you do sports talk radio, you better know what you're talking about, because the listeners and the fans, they know the coach's winning percentage on the road, at home, that sort of thing. And they will call you out on it. They won't put up with it. When you do political talk, you can say anything because they have no idea what's going on. And if we allowed the type of coverage in the media in sports, the way that it's done in politics, the Super Bowl last year, when Kansas City beat Philadelphia, you'd have Fox Sports saying, no, Kansas City won the Super Bowl. Then you would have ESPN saying, no, Philadelphia won the Super Bowl. And then the two fan bases would fight on who really won the Super Bowl. Well, sports fans wouldn't put up with that, Mark. But when it comes to things like our healthcare system is horrible. When it comes to our education system, they are essentially dismantling it and coming for that pool, the largest pool of taxpayer money that's out there. That's the public education pool of money. They're coming for it. And the conservatives in Tennessee, we know now that they are big government people because the school board here in Jackson, Madison County voted 9-0 to keep ACE charter schools out of this of Jackson, Madison County. The governor put together a panel in Nashville, and they said, you know what? We don't care what you think. They shoehorned it in, and the governor is good friends with the guy that's at the top of this charter school system. It is amazing to me, and his fans. I'm a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Mark, I know that when the Steelers win the Super Bowl, I'm not going to get invited to the White House with them. I'm not going to get a Super Bowl ring. I know I'm not on that team, but now people follow politics like they follow football, and they actually think they're on the team, and in reality, they're not on the team, are they?
No, I'm going to say something so fundamentally true. It is so simple, and yet it is actually the holy grail of what we need to aspire for in this country. And I think Philip will actually agree with this because I think this is important. What if we just had a few media outlets that just reported the news?
I'm with you already. I agree already. But keep going.
So if we just reported facts, true facts, I believe Americans would make the right decision in the Tennessee case with the school board. But you see what happens is Democrats go to their side, get rid of the guns. The Republicans go to their side. We're not going to give up the guns. But the truth is no one's asking anyone to give up all the guns. And everyone's asking for new laws to be put on the books that benefit our kids, make sure that school killings are minimized as much as possible. We get the care possible for people that need the care and not give them guns because the laws are too lax. I get it all. But the truth is that won't happen until the media has an honest discussion with Americans about we're not going to get rid of all the guns. We want to get rid of the big guns. We want to get rid of very powerful weapons. And for the hunters, there should be a way to allow hunters to hunt. There should be a way to allow sports people who want to use guns for sports to do their sports. And there should be a way for people that have guns to protect their families at homes and make it all work. We can do that if we had an open dialogue and we were willing to talk about truths.
We got to
do truth.
Yeah, that's true. And you ever wondered why that people, why they know what they think they know? Why do people know what they think they know?
Well, that's called their truth, your truth, and your truth is a lie 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and I don't care about your feelings. If people say, well, I have a feeling, I don't care about your feelings. I didn't sign up for this. And the other side of that is what Mark touched on a bit. It was Jimmy Carter that ushered in the evangelicals and rode them into the White House, but he was not Christian enough for them. Meaning he was not big government enough for them. Ronald Reagan came in, and here we go. Piece of crap, Newt Gingrich and that bunch, and Jerry Falwell, the charlatan who made a living by lying to children. Here they go, and making social issues, Mark. That's all America talks about is social issues. It's amazing to me.
Yes, and remember, and we know this history, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. As soon as an empire starts to worry about their feelings in any way, the empire is doomed. Feelings usually come about because the empire has got too fat, lazy, lethargic, and forgive me, they've forgotten their humility. The civilization just wants to know what can the civilization do for us, and the person in the civilization no longer feels they have any obligation to give to the civilization. That's where we are in America today. We are going to be really honest. Most people don't want to be in politics because it's too much trouble. They don't want to be involved in patriotism because, gosh, I want to go and play my computer games, be on the social apps, be on my mobile devices, go out and play. But
Well,
giving back to the country,
people believe that being a patriot is being loyal to a party, and that's
Right.
completely the opposite.
And someone else will take care of it
Okay,
for them.
and that's another
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, and when I was a kid, to Philip's point and Kim's, when I was a kid, no adults talked about who they voted for. I mean, if you asked them,
Oh, you didn't do it.
yeah, my
didn't do it.
My granddaddy
didn't
was.
do it.
Yeah, my granddaddy. I remember he may have asked when I was a kid, "Hey, Walter, who'd you vote for?" And he said, "That's none of your business." And they would not say who they voted for. And we have changed so much.
Because
Yeah.
when you were born, you were allowed to piss someone off by having an opinion that opposed theirs, and it was up to them to actually get over it and to actually accept you for a friend or not. Feelings had nothing to do with the reality from the past. This is true, everyone. If you don't believe me, just please go back and check history books. This was the big difference. We didn't put feelings before people's privacy, and we didn't put feelings before people's opinions. That's my point. So today we put feelings about our all else, and that is, the term that's been overused, but that is a kind of a wokeism, and it is a unfortunate problem because it's weakened everyone. You see, if you put yourself first all the time, then you won't be able to fix a problem. Because the only time you can fix a problem is when you actually take a time out and actually ask the world, what's wrong? How can I help?
Yeah,
You
Mark.
can't do it if you're constantly thinking of yourself.
Well, and that's why I think the way this has all been laid out, and they've gone from a national level to state and local levels, even on school boards. So we've seen money come in through the years from Las Vegas for a small little race in West Tennessee. I mean, folks, it's just amazing. But here is why I'm so concerned with this. The system was corrupt before Trump got here, and the Trump Branch Davidians. It was. We know that. Now, Trump is a different type of corrupt. I mean, this guy will burn the house down in a heartbeat because he is a malignant narcissist, narcissistic personality disorder. Now, my theory here is, Mark, that now these corporations, this dark money, these super PACs, look for people that are narcissists. I'm not talking about having some narcissistic tendencies. Most of us do, especially in show business.
Yeah, they're easy to control.
The personality disorder is a totally different situation. Those people don't think like we do. They just don't.
No,
And
they
people
don't.
that have not been around it don't understand that. You can't get people to do the things that they do if they're saddled with things like empathy. You just can't do it. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, look at Matt Gaetz. Look at George Santos. And on the other side as well.
I can't see him anymore. He's gone.
That's right. But it's amazing, Mark. But
it's on. I know you're pointing out one side, and it's on
it's
both.
both
It's
sides.
both
Yeah.
sides, man.
Yeah.
Some are better, but it seems like one side's a little bit better than hiding it than the other. But I also believe
Well, I
that,
think one
that
part
one
is
side
better.
needs to hide it from its base to where the other side doesn't have to.
not anymore. No.
Yeah, they
no.
just don't have to hide it
Yeah,
anymore.
and people. And I think it's the PAC mentality. I think the
Yeah.
religious component, the church components on the Republican side, they already have the flock mentality. They're
Well, we got half
easier
the-
to herd.
We got half the nation that just desperately wants the world to end so they can be vaporized to heaven.
Yeah, they're ready to give up
So
on
they're
this human
self-destructive.
experience.
Yeah.
Yes, and I didn't sign up for that. Mark, did you?
No, and everyone is always looking for a theory of everything. A theory that explains why the world the way it is. I think I have a theory of America which kind of surmises why we're in the place we're in. And it's kind of easy. If you think of 2001 when the towers came down, and when you think of after that, how America went to war against terrorism, and you think of how for the last 23 years we have been conducting, or 22 years been conducting this, what you realize is that in the 60s, when we were in Vietnam and also in the Korean War provokes inside our institutions, our colleges, it provokes a counter reaction to war, because there's lots of people in the colleges that will see a different perspective and a different narrative and won't want war. I believe that because we've been in war for almost 20 years now, we just got out with the Biden administration from a big war, and you could almost say the way we withdrew was not very pleasant. It was kind of negative. It was negatively cast on our psyche as Americans. It wasn't a patriotic withdrawal, was it? So ultimately, if you take a look at all of this, we've been in a war footing for 23 years. No wonder our academics went completely negative to the country, because they are always against war. So if you have a war footing for that long, I think you end up with truth decay, because you have parties that want the war to end. You want people want more, they want America to be a softer, gentler country, wokeness. And I think it all comes about because we really have that one huge folly. Constant war does not make us a strong country, and it does not help the world be strong. Constant war is an excuse not to do diplomacy. Constant war is an excuse to burn through ammo and make people rich, but not take care of human beings.
Yeah,
So
but
we
you know
think
you know who it does make strong? It makes the military-industrial complex strong. It makes the pharmaceutical industrial complex strong. It makes the religious industrial complex strong. Everybody's benefiting off this, and everybody's gaining strength because they're gaining power. The corporations are gaining strength, and they're gaining power, and they're, through money, and they're doing it off the backs of the American people. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of the manipulation. That's one thing that drawn me to you, Mark, was the fact that you understood how they were doing it to us. And you spell it out in your book. And we need more people out there like you, like Kim, like Dan, that are just going to tell you the truth and say, well, if it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. You got to know the truth. It's the only thing. We were joking the other day, and I said, you know what? It's pretty sad that we are what can stop this nation from destroying itself.
Right.
And it's the truth. I mean, but it's so hard to get people to understand the truth.
Because the truth will piss you off. Then it will set you free, but it's hard to swallow.
It is. I've got to get a quick break. Mark, can you hold on for just a couple of minutes?
Of course I can.
Thank you, Mark.